You walk into the room, and there he is, standing in the corner, nose almost touching the wall, just staring. Not at anything, at nothing. You say his name, and it takes a beat too long for him to turn, and your heart sinks. Because somewhere along the way, you read that this is dementia, that this is the beginning of the end, and that there's nothing to be done but watch your old friend slip away. I want to stop you right there. Because that assumption, the one almost everyone makes, is exactly the mistake that can cost your dog a treatment he desperately needs. I'm Dr. Ryan Mercer. In 15 years of practice, I've had so many owners walk in already grieving, already certain their dog has doggy dementia, when the real cause was something else entirely, sometimes something I could actually fix. So, before you write this off as just old age, give me the next few minutes. Because what your dog is telling you with that blank stare might be far more treatable than you fear, or far more urgent. Let's start by being fair to the dementia idea, because it isn't wrong exactly. Canine cognitive dysfunction is real. It's the dog version of something like Alzheimer's, a slow decline in the aging brain, and it is genuinely common. Studies out of veterinary schools estimated affect somewhere between 45 and 67% of dogs over the age of 13. So yes, in a very old dog, staring into space, getting stuck in corners, like seeming lost in familiar rooms, those can absolutely be signs of cognitive decline. But here's the trap. The moment you decide it's dementia, you stop looking. You accept it, you grieve quietly, and you don't bring your dog in. And that's where dogs get hurt. Because that exact same stare, that same vacant moment against the wall is also caused by a whole list of other things, and the difference between them is everything. Sometimes, honestly, it's nothing at all. Your dog's hearing and sense of smell are vastly sharper than yours. There may be a mouse in the wall, an insect, a faint scratching, a high-pitched hum from an outlet that you can't even perceive. A dog that stares at the wall but turns the instant you call his name, who can be snapped out of it with a toy or a treat, who goes right back to being himself, that dog is very likely just using senses you don't have. The key word there is distractible. He breaks focus when you engage him. Hold on to that idea because it's going to help you sort the harmless from the serious. Now we get to the causes that actually need a vet, and the first one fools almost everybody. Focal seizures. When most people picture a seizure, they think of a dog collapsing and convulsing, but seizures come in quieter forms too. A focal seizure can look like a dog frozen in place, staring unresponsive, maybe with subtle twitching of the face or lips, maybe snapping at the air at invisible flies. To an owner, that can look exactly like a dog lost in dementia, but it's electrical activity in the brain, and it's often treatable. If your dog has these staring spells and you genuinely cannot get his attention during them, that is not something to shrug off as old age. Then there's vision. Older dogs lose sight gradually, and a dog who's going blind may stand oddly close to walls, seem to stare, bump into things, or freeze in unfamiliar spots because he's lost his bearings. Some causes of vision loss in seniors are connected to other treatable conditions, which is exactly why it's worth checking rather than assuming. Stay with me, because the next one is sneaky and important. High blood pressure. We don't think of dogs as having blood pressure problems, but older dogs absolutely do, often alongside kidney disease or hormonal conditions. Hypertension can cause confusion, odd behavior, even sudden changes in vision, and it's measurable and manageable once someone actually looks for it. Pain and nausea belong on this list too. A dog who feels sick or hurts may go still, withdraw, and stare simply because moving makes it worse. None of that is dementia. All of it is addressable. And now, the one I need you to take dead seriously, because it is the reason I never let an owner self-diagnose this at home. There's a behavior called head pressing, and it is not the same as staring. Head pressing is when a dog deliberately pushes the top of his head against a wall or a piece of furniture and holds it there, sometimes for long stretches, often while seeming dazed. That is a red alert. Head pressing is a sign of serious neurological or metabolic disease, things like liver dysfunction, sending toxins to the brain, a brain tumor, inflammation, or a stroke. If your dog is pressing his head into the wall, this is not a wait and see, not a next week appointment. That is an emergency today. Get to a vet or an emergency clinic immediately. Let me take a breath with you here because that's a lot. And I don't want you spiraling. The point isn't that your dog is doomed. The point is the opposite. So many of these causes, the seizures, the blood pressure, the pain, the nausea, even some vision problems can be treated or managed when they're identified. And even when it does turn out to be cognitive dysfunction, that is not a dead end either. There are diets, supplements, medications, and changes you can make at home that genuinely slow it down and keep your dog more comfortable and more present. Giving up was never the only option. It just felt like it. So how do you sort this out without a veterinary degree? You don't have to diagnose it, you just have to observe well, and here's exactly how. First, test for distractibility. When your dog is staring, calmly say his name, offer a treat, make a familiar sound. Does he snap out of it and reconnect, or is he truly locked in, unreachable? A dog you can easily redirect is a very different picture from a dog you cannot reach at all. Second, and this is the single most useful thing you can do, take out your phone and film it. A 10 or 20-second video of the actual behavior is worth more to me than any description because I can see whether it's a seizure, a balance problem, head pressing, or simple sensory focus. Owners always try to describe it in words, and the video tells the real story in seconds. Then watch for the company it keeps. Is the staring happening with circling, pacing, getting stuck behind furniture, accidents in the house, sleeping all day and wandering all night, not recognizing familiar people? That cluster leans more toward cognitive change and still deserves a real workup. Is it happening with a head pressed to the wall, a seizure, stumbling, sudden blindness, collapse, or vomiting? That's your signal to go now. And here's the line I'll always hold, because it's the whole reason this channel exists. I can tell you what these behaviors tend to mean. I cannot examine your dog through a screen, and neither can anyone else online. A blank stare can be a mouse in the wall or a tumor in the brain, and the only way to know which is a real exam by a real vet, often with blood work and a blood pressure check and a good neurological once-over. So please, don't let the internet, including me, talk you into either panic or false comfort. Let it move you to make the call. So this week, if you've been seeing this, do 3 things. Film the behavior the next time it happens. Test whether you can break his focus. And write down what else is going on around it. The sleep, the appetite, the bathroom habits, the way he moves. Bring all of that to your vet. You will have just handed them a head start that most owners never do. Let me leave you with this, the way I'd say it to a friend. That stare frightened you because you love him, and because somewhere you decided it meant the end. But a symptom is not a sentence. Half the dogs I see for this walk out with a plan, a treatment, or simply an answer that lets the family breathe again. Your old dog can't tell you what's happening behind those eyes. He's counting on you to be curious instead of resigned, to look closer instead of looking away. And the fact that you're here, refusing to just accept it, means he's got exactly the right person in his corner. If this changed how you see that quiet stare, stay with me, because caring for an aging dog is mostly about asking the right question before you accept the easy answer.